Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about something that gets asked a lot on our page. Which transducer is best and which transducer should I get? Now that's it's always going to differ from person to person. You'll have to excuse the bugs in the background. But there's three different types of Livescope pan optics transducers. We're not talking about the PS and all of those things. We're talking about the LVS32, the LVS34, and the LVS62 XR, which is extended range. So what I want to do is I want to go through each particular transducer and tell you what I have seen in the uses that I have seen them in. And let's start with the LVS32. It's more of a triangular shaped transducer, as you can see here. And what I have found is many of the crappie anglers prefer the LVS32. Now, the reasons I have heard is being able to run higher gain and higher noise rejection. And what that does is really helps to see their baits up close in that 20 to 30 foot range. And I think it's why a lot of the crappie anglers prefer it. They say when they use the LVS34 and they run that higher noise rejection, and it does have a somewhat of a delay. And I think there's more information coming in, so it kind of delays it a little bit. Me personally, I believe the delay is caused by the black box. The black box first came out with the LVS32, and then they adapted it to the 34 and the 62. So I believe that is what's causing it, not so much the transducer. I don't know if the black box actually keeps up with it. I've been waiting on them to update that black box to a different version for the 34 and the 62, and maybe the next generations. That probably is coming soon, I would think. I mean, I'm not sure about that. I don't have any inside info on that. But 32 seems to be what a lot of crappie anglers prefer. They like that. It's also the first one they were used, so it was real comfortable with them, and therefore they don't tend to change. Now let's slide, and let's go this. Perspective mode, a real useful. A lot of people, as they have moved to 34s, they're keeping their 32s and using that as the perspective mode. Now, it's not near as good as the 34 in my opinion. And so I think that, as me, I've had two 34s. I'm very fortunate in that. I know that. I think the perspective mode is far exceeds that of the 32 on the 34. So, but let's get into the LVS34. Now, the 34, as you can see here, is more of a rectangular shape, a little bit larger crystals and a little bit larger reading surfaces in that. That's going to help you with a little bit longer range. It's going to also help with better target separation. One of the main problems with the 32 is you see what you think is a good fish out at, say, 60 feet, 70 feet, something like that. And then you'll get closer and it'll turn into 3, 4, 5 smaller fish. That is not as much of a problem on the 34 as it is on the 32. The 32 also has a larger problem with the ghost tree. The 34, that has been remedied a good bit. And so I think the 34 is better for longer ranges, bass operations. A lot of bass fishermen love the 34 for that reason, and I believe that's what I use. Now, I have found that I don't use perspective near as much as I used to, and it's a great tool. I just don't fish as much shallow water as I used to, and it's great for finding some deep water structure, but I don't use it as much. But it's much better than, say, the 34. The disadvantages 34, as we talked about earlier, is the delay when you use higher noise rejections and things like that to eliminate some of the interference that you may have, and that can be a problem. But one of the bonuses to that is if you're jerking the bait out of your fish's mouth, you can use high to kind of help slow yourself down, because when you see a fish bite it, sometimes you'll jerk it and they won't actually have it because you're watching that screen. Now, the 62. What are people using the 62? I don't have a whole lot of experience with it, but what I have seen is in perspective mode, it is amazing. Now, the forward mode, I can't tell much different than the 34 because I haven't got out into that super Great Lake deep water. I think, or maybe some Gulf type structure, stuff like that. But those super deep lakes like High Rock, it would probably, Table Rock, it would probably be really good. Beaver Lake, those deep Clearwater lakes up in Missouri, you know, Tennessee River, you know, deep water lakes, things like that would be really good for it, where you can really get into that deep water and really get that extended range. But a lot of the bass anglers I've started to see are using it for perspective mode, and it really shines in perspective. It is what the 34 is to the 32. I think the 62 may be more than that in perspective mode. And you'll see, I'm going to show you a size comparison right here. That 62 is very, very large in comparison to the other two models. So choosing your model that you need and works for you, it's a personal preference. It also comes down to your pocketbook, because there are large differences in the 32s. You got to find those on trade-ins. There's not, I don't even think they sell the new ones anymore. They may, I haven't looked for them in a while. The 34 and then the 62 is unreal high. So you have to look at your pocketbook, and that's a big deal. And then you also need to look at the capabilities of your unit. I don't think you'll be using a 62 with a 93 UHD, or, you know, so you got to match up your equipment, your fish finders, to your actual transducers. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have any questions about what do you think that I think's your best unit to use, let me, send me an inbox or hit me up in the message below. Remember to like these videos. We need to like them. It won't be long. We'll be getting back on the water. This 100-degree heat ain't gonna last forever. I ain't going out there in the 100-degree heat. I ain't doing it. I just ain't doing it. I seen some questions. A lot of people asked this. So I wanted to address it on the page. Excuse me. And I wanted to kind of break down what the differences are in these units. We have another podcast coming up with the lake breakdown, tournament breakdown type deals. Hopefully we're going to have Matt from 3 Pound Fishing coming in. He's coming into town for a big tournament on Lake D'Arbonne. We're going to have William back on again, of course Nolan, and that's our Spotted Dogs podcast. And if you're ever in the area and you want to go see, Michael or Richard down at Spotted Dog, they have a great mom and pop type store, but they have literally the best people. And I'm happy to be associated with them and their podcast. It's an amazing podcast. And we don't just talk about fishing. There's hunting on there, turkey hunting. We've talked about blood trailing dogs. It's crazy the things we talk about. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please hit the like button and ring that bell.